you talked of, you said you did not date your wife to be, and then secondly, you said you guys were your getting together was divine. I believe there is someone in here that is wondering what divine means. Like, someone could be here also saying, I probably want to be like Martin. I want my mate to come in a divine way. So I want you to explain to us that divine way. And then secondly, did you get to approach her, or like you said it's divine? Okay, help us explain, give us clarity on the divinity you're talking about.
Okay, thank you so much. Like what I shared before, that in that time of waiting, me, like as a person, let me tell you this. I had created my personal standard, but I didn't know that it was evil. There is a way how I had a certain mentality that in my life, I'll never marry someone who is not a virgin. Listen. And I know why I used to love that. But then, the more I went deep in the Lord, the more I had testimonies, I came to realize that those mistakes happen in life. And again, we get back on track. And even some of us, you might find it's only and only the grace of God that could have carried you through. So when I happened to enter into that closet, that time of prayer, every time, to cut it short, there is a moment when I reached Ngamba Mukama, the life that I'm living. Even though God, you could give me a lame woman, I could marry her. Why? I wasn't desperate, but I reached to a level that I could only see Christ. I'm not bragging, that whatever comes from God, I will embrace it. Because before I had laid my own standard, I want to look. There are even some friends of mine, anytime she could tell me, I have ever done such a thing. So I could feel so bad, like you look down on that person. But when I went before the Lord kept working on me, knowing that whatever comes from the Lord is the best. So I reached to a level whereby I could no longer look at my own desires, but choosing His will. And even funny bit of it, my wife right now, we once started from the same school, but we weren't friends at all. We weren't friends at all. That's the truth. Why? To dig deep a bit on this point, I had a friend who had got interested in me. And that person was her best friend. I want you to understand, was her best friend. But me personally, so every time she could go to her telling her what has happened, because I was a person, there is a way how God kept my life. I really have a testimony that every time when I was in that lane, when I was still mature, I don't think that people don't think that everything has been like the way you think. Sometimes there are those moments that happen, but every time whenever I could get into any relationship, there is a certain hatred that could always develop in me towards that person. I don't know how God could protect me, but that's how God protected me in that time. So that friend could always tell my wife right now, you know what, Martin doesn't touch me, doesn't do what, doesn't like me, doesn't call me. So that's why that enmity had come up. So even when I had left the school, I just told that friend of mine, and I told her, you know what? Let me tell you, wasting people's time is very bad and very evil. I just told her, you know what? It's not only sleeping with that person, it's not only kissing, but we are children of the Most High God. And everywhere we are, we represent the kingdom of God. Whatever you do, you are stepping in for Jesus. So I could feel haunted in my inside. How dare do I waste someone's time? So when I got out of that relationship, I determined myself never again to get into any relationship. So that's the journey that I lived after getting off from that relationship. We went and finished, and everyone went on his way. So the thing that you talked about, divine, I think I'm coming to the point. So I went into deep in prayers, that's the truth. So in that prayer, I could always pray for myself. I would always examine myself where I am weak, that God would lead me through. God would show me the right path.
Yes.
So
yes.
I remember I used to get dreams when I was in that time of prayer and fasting. So some of them, there is a time when you're praying, you reach to a level that God is speaking to you, but you can't truly understand because you are too divine. But before, there is a certain woman of God who had shared with me that there is before, even at the beginning when I was starting, someone prophesied that, you know what, Martin, I feel that your wife is demonic. She doesn't know that person. She doesn't even, that person never knew anything concerning that person. But it just kept there. We just left it like that. So when we got out of school, I went on my way. As I told you, I determined myself never again to waste anyone's time. Even when I came here, you people don't think that I was in a relationship. I wasn't. The day I got that person, when God clarified it, that's when I gave a testimony. I think you remember, you people, I gave a test. Don't think that. And our relationship, frankly speaking, started as wife and husband. I didn't take her for a date because I never took her for a date. I never spoke to her, betrothing someone. I never did that. But I was just at home. One time I was with a person. This is the last statement. I was with a person when I was with a person at home. And I called her and I said, she's called Amot. Come and I share with you the dreams that I had. But I'm telling you, by that time, you people waiting, it's not easy. It's not easy. That is one of the hardest. And let me tell you, note this. Patience is the bridge between flesh and spirit. Waiting upon the Lord, the way we think, is not easy. So when I was in that moment, I think those are the moments that I reached to a level that, God, I'm ready to take up your will. I'm ready to receive whatever comes from you. As long as God looks in your inside and sees that kind of mentality, I don't know how God does it. So I was just there at home. I just called my friend and I told you know what? I'm not come and I share with you the dreams that I used to do what? To have. So, yes. So the moment I opened up my book, it was a notebook. Me, I always write my dreams whenever I get them. So I shared the dream to that person. The first thing he asked me, do you know this person? Martin, could this not be your wife? There is a voice. Let me tell you people, at my age, I had never frankly spoke to someone that I love you. That's the truth. I want to shame the devil.
Okay.
But I want, yes. So, as I'm coming to the climax,
Yes.
there are some words in my life that I never mistakenly spoke them. And those are the words. Loving someone is easy. I can tell my brother I love you, but there is a love that you can mean. And adding more words. So those words were too hard. Even as I told you, that friend of mine that I had for more than 2 years, I told her, the one that we broke, I told her the day that I will tell you I love you, you know that you will be my wife. That's how determined I was. Yes. The day I will open up my mouth and tell you, you know what? I love you. I will marry you. I will have meant it. Yes. Then, that very evening, as I was sharing with that person, when I opened up that dream and told me, this could be your wife, there is something that shook me. That's the truth. It really shook me. And I continued opening up. And sincerely speaking, when you look at whatever God was communicating, to connect even to what my friend has shared, and even it took me back of all the dreams that I have ever got, though I was resisting because didn't have any connection with that person because of what had been created before. So from that moment, I had the confidence for the first time. I called her. I just called her. I told her, you know what? I want to talk to you tomorrow, to think about it still. Tomorrow, I just called her and I told you know what? Monique, you're going to be my wife. And the truth is that I started my relationship with that confirmation from God. And frankly speaking, we started as wife and husband. Only that we've been just waiting the time. So I don't know whether I can add something, but
Hallelujah.
that's how I can
That
say.
is the experience of Martin. Well, out there you might have your own experience, but one thing to take home: be patient and wait on the Lord.
Ask.
Oh
Later.
yeah. So this was the very first of the edition, the Hot Seat Chair editions. So we'll probably be pushing it on and on. We'll have more of them, different of them. We'll be bringing in more people. And guess what? These people are not going to be coming from any other people. You're the superstars of this show. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time.
Okay.
You can go and have your seat. Katolo program eve wedde mbadde mu TV. Oh mukama wange. Tuyaniriza bino bya bibeere mabega mu gye mutaba. Nga bakusiibula oba nga bakuwayo n'ez'amafuta. Taata nja kuwa. Well, abavubuka, that was the Hot Seat edition, the very first edition. We hope to have very more of them. Abakatweyungako mwebale kujja beera ngo neighbor akuliraanye omumanya erinnya. Atandikireko ono for example. How are you? Angambye I am good. Osiibawa. Kireka. Abana b'ekireka. But so the next thing that we are going to be going into, we are going to have a panel. Probably these are the things that we're going to be speaking about. I'm going to need some help. Dereki. Ngo bwana ob'omu kyalo kakuyita kabeereri taata. Iyi sinagambako kabuto. Ofema. Shortly. Man of God. Bana nedda. Banange tujja olw'obudde tujja kipulaninga. Tujja kipulaninga kibeere ky'amaanyi nnyo. Naye kati question zonna ze muterese tuzitegekedde ate ekisinga. So this is what is going to happen. This is what is going to happen. We are going for our panel, and this is probably what we are going to be talking about. We'll be sharing about health. We're going to be sharing about health. We're going to be sharing about business. We're going to be sharing about fashion, design. How do you do it? For example, how can you be a Christian and you can still kuchikuba and you stay godly? Kwegamba ng'okikuba mu ngeri ya Christian ate n'osigala ng'oli muvubuka ow'eki ow'omulembe. Kati bwe bantu betugenda okuleeta wano naye egenda beera open. We can talk because it is going to be a very broad thing. Well, the next thing that we're going to be having, we'll have the relationship and marriage. Kati buli kibuuzo ky'olina ekya relationship. Obwedda mubuuza bannammwe ebibuuzo, are you married? Kati byonna tugenda bitegeerako. So, meanwhile, as we'll be doing that, ngenda kubasaba tuyimirire. Nagambye kana akaddako. Kati leero mbabuuliriddewo nga tukola ki? Tutandika. Era nako akawangula kati tuyimirire. Ne kana akawangula ovemale oyinza ozeetwalira. So we are going to have another one. Banange tukomewo mu maaso. Tukomewo. Jose wootabadde abantu bawangudde ssente wano. Jackie n'afuuka Dawudi. era woobalabira bwedda balina ebibuuzo bye beebuuza banange tujje mu maaso tutuule wano ne bwe naagamba tutuule tujje mu maaso nga wano bwe twabadde kana akazannyo kangu nnyo ke tugenda ozannya. No problem, just come. Me, I don't know the game. Come, ojja kayiga. In front. Make sure you have space. Make sure you have space. Make sure you have space. But please don't fear. Don't fear. It is like a simple game. Banange. Don't worry. There is space this side. There is space this side. Oh my God, don't fear. Women of God abali emabega temutya bambi. Tonyiiga. Temunyiiga bambi. Agamba banange nesta wangula mutwalo. Nesta wangula mutwalo. And make sure you have space teri kyakwekwasa ebikuli emabega. Make sure wewa muka space ebikuli emabega. Mike gwe jimpe wano tofaayo kanji bayambeko. Jangu wano. Asha wano teri agenda kugwa bigo. Tetuli mu service za bigo. Aga mafuta twagaleseeyo. Twaze n'amafuta ga kusanyuka. Make sure banango ina obutebo mu busembeseke mabega katono. Katakazanyo ke tugenda okuzanya kano kali very simple. Kagenda kebera how you listen and you interpret things. Anchi wafe natwasoma ka at least watuukako mu P7. At least twatuukako mu ki? Mu P7. So this kakem is very easy. We are going to be quoting two words. In and on. In and on. So you cannot be, when I say in the river, we'll make one step in front because we'll be getting in the river. So you cannot be on the river. Okujjako Yesu ye yasembayo okukikola bw'okikakasa nga tukutwala enkya ku Lake Victoria ng'obeera ku on water bw'otyo bw'okitukolera. So we cannot be on the river. We only be on the bank. So that is when we can walk on the soil, on the bank. So in the river, we'll make one step in the river. And if I say on the bank, we'll go back on the bank. As simple as that. Engeri bano gye bambadde green. Tugenda wangula ka green. Akawangula. Very simple. Kyangu nnyo. Quote the words. In ne on. Tubeera on the bank. Tubeera in the. Tugenda tandika. Tugendera ku peesi yange. Bwe weenyeenyaamu. Kiba kikaba kakoze eki. In the river. One step. Very good. Waliwo atata sula. Nze ndifa naawe. Ennyanja tugiyingiramu ffenna. It is okay. Era omu bwagwa nga mwenna mugenda. On the bank, one step behind. Very good. That was in the river, in the bank. Kati bw'okikola bw'otyo. We cannot be in the bank. Banka togiyingiramu n'ogyesogamu. Banka tugibeera on. Sekyo. Ate tetusobola on the river. Sekyo. Kati olina okujjukira we tuli. Kati bwe weerabira nti tubadde mu river. Kubanja kugamba in the river ng'already tuli mu river ate oyagala okukola ki? Okuddayo oba ogudde. On the bank. Very good. Tukategedde. Tutandike. Ku luno saagala yeekwasa nti bannange saaziwangudde olw'okuba ki? Tutandike oba tuddemu tugezeseemu? Tutandike. Njagala ontwalire kano ak'ettaano okalye kannume. Jackie, aliwa Jackie. Kozi. Oli yedda Jackie nedda. Neba bana ebyana byefaana kana. Kale. Tugende in the river. Kati nyamba gwalaba munno. Okay. Gwalaba munno. On the bank. In the bank. In the river. In the bank. In the river. In the bank. Ngoge. Otira making a katugenda genda oyina owuliriza obugambo buno obuko. Kati bw'oyambala kakondo ennyanja n'ebanga ekatwala tugende gye tugenda kwongeramu speed. So olina okuba nga oli ki in the bank, in the river. Kati mwenna nga mugenda kuba already tuli mu river. Anti tuli mu river, osigala mu river kubanga tuli mu ki. Tutandike kati, tutandike. Obudde tebutumala. Bano baveeyo, obudde tebutumala. Sula amalonda boogenze nabo. Sula londa boogenze nabo muri. Kale tugende, tulina obudde butono. In the river. Tuli mu river. Kati last chance mukomewo tugende. Kale damu tugende kati. Tulina eddakiika just 3. In the river, on the bank. Teri kulwawo bwe mulwawo mwenna muba mulemeddwa. In the bank, the river, in the river. Ante olina kubeera in, kati bwe ngamba the river gwamanyi bw'ogenda sebo taata. In the bank, the bank, in the river, the bank, on the bank, in the river, in the bank, in the river, the bank, in the river, on the bank, in the river, in the bank, on the river. On the river. Olaba, olina okubeera ng'oli serious. Oluzungu olwo. Ak'ettaano kaakaawo. In the bank, the river. In the bank, on the bank. In the bank, in the river. The bank, in the river. On the river, in the bank. The river. In the lake. In the river. The bank. On the bank. In the river. On the bank. The river. The river. The river ne mujja banange. China beera in the river, see the river. The river birala nnyo. Anti tuno tusuula bantu. Olina osuula abantu mujje mundabire. Mujje mundabire eno. Nawe jangu oli mu river munda. Njogere bulungi. They've said me, I talk very well. The river. In the river. Tuliwa. Tuli mu river. Tuli muchi. Tuli on the banka. Kati tuli ku banka. In the river. In the bank. In the river. Jackie Bambi. No, baba nanki ngotula. Kale in the bank. The river. On the bank. In the river. Teri kurawo kati. In the river. The bank. The bank. In the river. The river. On the bank. In the river. On the bank. In the river. On the river. On the river. Olaba. Atugenda mpola tusigaza eddakiika 2. Kati tugenda. In the river. On the bank. Bano bambi bali mu nsi yaabwe. Mugende mutuule. Olina okubeera ng'oli. Banange tusembere abantu bagenda wetaana tusigaza eddakiika 2. Tuli ku banka. Tuli on the bank. Kale in the bank. In the river. On the bank. Nyabo mama obadde weebase. Wala inedda babadde nze mbadde nkyalowooza ku gundi. Wangi. Babadde ku banka. Bananga munyambe mubandabireko. In the river. tuli ku bank. Kale tugende tuli ku bank. Tuli mu bank musaleewo banyabo. Tusigaze eddakiika emu. Tuli on the bank in the river. In the bank. Mu bank ogenze. Make sure ogenda ketano kano njagala akatwala. In the bank. The river. In the river. In the bank. The bank on the bank. In the river. In the river. On the bank. In the river. Bano bibabuze bo. Baera basigadde awo. Bataata mubatulabira. Omuwanguzi ajja musembere bwe tubalabira musembere. Omuwanguzi wa ketano tusigaze eddakiika emu okuzuula omuwanguzi. Tuli wa mu river. Tuli mu river munda. On the bank. In the river. On the bank. In the river. In the river. In the bank. In the river. The bank. On the river. Obadde osaala obadde kwegamba weetegudde ng'otuula teri kwenyenyama. Sorry. Tuli wa? Tuli in the river. Njagalako omuwanguzi owa ketaano. Njagala omunambadde essaati yakawangule. In the bank. The river. In the river. In the bank. On the bank. In the river. On the bank. Kati musigadde mu river. Mubatulabira. Mwebale kusigalayo. Tusembere. 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 Tuli wa? Tuli on the bank Tuli ku bank Katoliaga banange wangulu ompeeko tekirina buzibu tusigaze eddakiika emu. In the bank. Teri kati eno level gye tutuuseeko ne bwenyeenya oba ogudde. On the bank. The river. Jangu taata. Weebale kugyesogga. Ogyesoze river. Jake avudde ne family kati mmwe mugenda kola mutya. Omukyala n'omwami at least wamma omwami ogezezzaako. Bananga aketaano kakenkumi etaano kano. The bank. In the river. In the bank. The river. On the bank. In the river. On the bank. Opema. Taata totambudde n'abanno bakuyise lwaki okyankalanya opema. Opema akyakunoonyeza ssente omulemerako kati kamuboneebone. Ssente akunoonyeza. Tuli on the bank. The river. In the river. In the bank. Bananga temuyita bannammwe. Mumuleke temubayita. Ebbana temubayita bambi. Mwana future ye eri wana ate gwe omulemesa. Munno muleke. Omanze bookagiranga okampe eyange eri wano. Tuli wa? In the river Njagalako omuwanguzi omu obudde butukute eddakiika emu. In the river. In the bank. On the bank. The river. Gwe kasitogida. Kati sibajjukiza wowe tuli ye level kwe tutuusa olina okuba nga omanyiiwo. The river. In the bank. Jangu mama ne boogenda bugenzi nga nkutte buleeki ginywereze mu kifo kye. Naye bananga akagurini bakyakakiikiridde. Naye abasomesa mutukoze bubi. Katulabe. Abasomesa babiri ne student. The bank. In the river. In the bank. The bank. On the river. Jangu nyabo awulidde on the river ng'agenda. Twagalako omuwanguzi omu. Tuyina seconds. Tusigaza eddakiika emu. Senga etulema abasajja oba abaki? Tusigaza eddakiika emu bwe tubulako awangula nga tugenda mu program eddako. Kaakano wano omukulu w'ebitiibwa gwajja kukamumpeera. Awangudde gookawa kwata. The one who wins is the one. The one who wins is the one you give. Jangu wano. Otidde. Awangula gookawa. Awangula gookawa. Gwe gwamanyi akuwangulira. Tuli wa? Tuli mu river. Tugenda ku bank. On the bank. On the river. The river. In the river. In the bank. The bank on the river. In the river. In the bank. On the bank. The river. In the river. The bank. obadde ogirinnye buleeti oba bannange munyambeko wano we tutuuse the bank on the bank in the river kati twagala teacher ku teacher experience gwe nkukubisa experience nakatandika ndi fresh kale katulabe in the river the bank on the bank in the river in the river in the bank on the bank in the river the bank the river on the river bannange era still owa gulini n'awangula akaki sebo taata omuwanguzi bw'obuuyo genda okima ekirabo kyo bannange well so kyetuddako okukola before us ngenda kubanjaniriza abantu and they will take up the positions bwenkuyita bambi ojja kunyamba abatuula wano beba ordinary abali eno mwe VIP abali eno mwe VIP buli gwempita okutuula wano ng'omanya otuula muki mu ordinary so mu bitiibwa ebingi ennyo munzikirize twanirize brother Martin munzikirize twanirize brother Magino ndakikola mangu brother Magino munzikirize nyanirize pastor Abra naye abeegatteko bannange buli bempi nabagambye abatuula eno abali eno kati munzikirize mpite woman of God Madam Vio nyabo mama jangu mumukuba ebibuuzo bedda agamba wano ebibuuzo Madam Grace mami now wanje mami nina muyita mimi manya gakyuka mimi okay Madam Vio bambi Vio nawe Vio hello mzindalo gukola kati nabagambye ffe tugenda kutuula eno ffe banene bali be bagundi mike endala bweti eriwa edda eno gye tuli tujja kozesa eno gye nnyina siweewaawo ekola obudde tulina butono okay omukulu Emma mu bitiibwa ebingi onansonyiwa ojja kujja naawe otuule mu katebe ako bambugalo bubwatuke mukulu Emma nga bannange bannange allo gukola bulungi ani alina amafuta agi kwata gutukwatireko gwe bunyweze awo akiwulira ekyo ffe tuli eno kati naffe eno gender balance tuli abasajja batono abakazi bangi tukole tutya okay so well omukulu Derek naawe tukulinze banange temugenda ebinyuma bikyaliwo well tugenda batunyumyako ku bintu bitonotono ngenda ovudde engeri gye butukutte ngenda kubawaayo eddakiika ba speakers baffe abali awo brother Martin ojja tuleadinga mu bya health mu ddakiika nga 2 Emma ojja tulidingako mu bya physical exercise nga bwe naaba nkigambe mu ddakiika 2. V ojja tulidingako mu bya fashion mu ddakiika era nga 2. Just any questions that will arise, ddakiika 2 ojja kwogera ku fashion y'abakyala like mu ngeri gye tunaaba tulungamiziddwa. Emma Magino mu ddakiika 2 tujja kwogeranga ku business investments, kale business ng'abavubuka ebintu bye tusobola okukola tuvuddeyo tutya mu ddakiika nga 2 bwe tunaaba tulungamiziddwa nkozera n'ebibuzo ebinaaba bivudde eno. Pastor Abro ojja kwogera ku relationships and marriage, then era ojja kukituggalirawo ne spiritual development. Well, okutandika health kintu kinene nnyo ng'abavubuka bwe tutandika okukyogera yatulungamiza nagambe kiba kintu kinene nnyo. So omuzindaalo Martin nja kusaba ogukwate. So health generally twagala ebintu ennaku zino tuyina kye tuyita health feeding like okulya mu ndya ennungi omuvubuka n'ekya mental health. Kati ojja mu ddakiika nga 2 twagala otunnyonnyole ku ndya esaanidde ey'abavubuka kugamba health wise mu bya feeding ebyo omuntu ayinza kubeerawo atya kukola atya kulya butya bulungi. Then n'ekyo abantu balina mental that nyinza okukoza nga example ya mental depression, omuntu abeerawo ng'alina ekinyiizo nga kimuliko health wise kwegamba ava atya mu mbeera eyo mu ngeri eyo y'ekisawosawo bwe bityo. So ojja tulungamyamu mu ddakiika 2, then ebibuuzo bijja kuva eno yenna alina ekibuuzo kyonna ekiri ku health ojja kukimubuuza mu ddakiika 2.
Thank you so much, our brother. And first and foremost, I really want to thank the organizing committee who has really worked on what we are doing right now. And thank you for bringing this thing on table. I really thank God that you've given me what is also in my field. Well, we need to understand what health means. You know, most of the times as believers, we pray for our brothers. You know, I pray for you, I pray for a good health and what. But this is a simple definition of what health means. Before, they used to define health as the state of being free from illness or disease. And that's what we all know, that when you don't have a disease, or maybe you don't have an infirmity, that is health. But according to World Health Organization, we talk about 3 concepts. We talk about the complete physical, mental, and social well-being. So the simplest way how we can define health is the state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, but not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Then, what my brother asked me to work on, I think I will really talk about the physical, because when we talk about our feeding cultures, then it means we are talking about mostly the physical. One thing when we are talking about the physical as a concept in health, one, when you talk about the physical, it is just simply meaning the normal functioning of the body. Then, as part of the normal functioning of the body, so we are just going to talk about the feeding. People of God, glory be to God that we are still young. But if you are really looking at a variety of diseases that are really on table as per now, they are all related to our feeding habits. And the way we think is, when I eat maybe chips, or maybe I eat chicken, I eat what? That is the what? The best. Not knowing that not knowing that as our bodies need a balanced diet. And what is a balanced diet? A balanced diet, well, back from well back from our background in school, it simply means that a food that contains all food values. And amongst the food values, I will just name them. We've got carbohydrates, we've got proteins, we've got vitamins, we've got fats, mineral salts, water, vegetables, and so many others.
Well,
And let me,
Brother Martin,
Mm.
would you describe to us a kind of food that, for example, ogambe probably in the local food that we usually eat, ogambe this kind of food is, for example, a balance that so tuwayo ngaba olya kino n'olirako kino n'olirako kino, there's something like a balance that, like an example esobola okujayo ekifaananyi ekyo.
Okay. Mostly on our plate that we eat, only that there is a way how we look at things, but the way how things are supposed to be on our plate, the biggest percentage, it must be vegetables. We must determine ourselves to eat what? Vegetables. And most of the drugs that we see on tables, those supplements and what, the ones that strengthens our bodies, most of them, they are made from our normal vegetables and so forth. And just know one thing. If you happen to lack any nutrient in the body, that's a disease. So if you happen to get any lack in your body, if it's not enough, and most of the diseases, that's how they come into our bodies. And when I talk about the carbohydrates, I think most of us, we know there are very many. We talk about the yams. We talk about the even the sweet potatoes. Those some of these kinds of food, they have got many nutrients within them. I'm just going to list a few. When we talk about proteins, we talk about beans, we talk about cowpeas, we talk about chicken, we talk about meat. When we talk about fats, the way how you hear it, and what else?
Okay.
Then, yeah.
So, Brother Martin, would you summarize in like 30 seconds?
Okay. One thing I would love to tell you people, learn to balance what you always put into your stomach. Yes. Learn to balance whatever you eat. At least try your best. It may not really necessarily require a lot of money, but you have to be determined. There are some things that we do, they are just for the betterment of our life. Like sugar, you can reduce on it, on the consumption of sugar. Taking much is not good to our bodies. You can, I will just give us